Welcome to Contracting Conversations. My name is Scott Williams, and I'm joined by my co-host Jim Valley. Today, we are pleased to have with us Professor Dave Lewis, DU's Learning Asset Manager for the OLT course Con 7600, which is Introduction to Incentive Contracting. Welcome, Dave. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Scott. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. And Dave, just to kick us off, can you tell us about the course?
Yeah. First of all, just a little background on incentives. DoD's been using incentives for a long time, even before the Wright brothers. But the Wright brothers had a really interesting incentive contract. It had a performance incentive on it. And the performance was based on how fast it could go. If it could go above 40 miles an hour, it actually made more money than the target profit. And if it couldn't quite achieve 40, it would make less than the target profit. So that was one of the earlier Army Air Corps incentive contracts. What this is going to be about, this introductory lesson, it's going to be about why we use incentives, talk a little bit about incentive principles and the benefits of using incentives, and then we're going to get into the individual incentive type contracts, just an introduction to individual types of incentive contracts available to us. So we'll do a little bit of a dive on fixed price incentive firm contracts, fixed price environment, of course, cost plus incentive fee contracts. We'll also talk about award fee and award term contracts, and those kind of fell out of favor for a little while, the award fee contracts, back in the early 2000s. But they're making a comeback, and got the real good example of that. And then we're also going to talk about multiple incentive contracts a little bit, and those are the most complex contracts that we tend to use in DoD. So in this introductory lesson, we'll talk a little bit about each of those, give you situations where you might want to pick one versus another. So that will give you some indications if you want to do a deep dive on, say, you've got a requirement coming up, you're not sure if you should use a cost plus incentive fee contract or a fixed price incentive firm contract. This introduction should give you a good indication of which way you should lean. And then you would be able to go to those specific chapters that we have or lessons that we've said that we can do deep dives on later. And that will give you hopefully all of the background baseline that you need to go out and execute these contracts, develop them and execute them.
That sounds great, Dave. What I find interesting is about the award fee part, right? It's just another tool. And if we use it properly, it is a great tool in our toolbox. And I'm glad to see that we're still telling our contracting officers out there that, hey, this exists and this is something you could use if it makes sense.
Yeah, early on in the 2000s, when we were over in the Gulf Wars, there was unfortunately a tendency for the award review boards on these award fee contracts to be overly generous to contractors, where they would basically give them almost 100% of the available award fee just for sort of performing the contract. And that's not what award fees are set up for. They're for over and above and subjective types of things that we have trouble perhaps measuring objectively. So there are some subjective areas, which means there are opinions involved. But through a very rigorous process of conducting an award review board, you're supposed to go through and evaluate all of the different areas that they're being evaluated on, and then come up with an ultimate evaluation. We've come up with a formal process to do that, and now we're getting great results with these award review boards, especially, like you said, when they're used in the proper situations. They can be very, very powerful motivators for contractor performance.
Yeah, great. Sounds good.
Hey, Dave, the 7600 class, this introduction, sounds like it would be a really good course, obviously, for anybody in contracting to take, but I also think it would be possibly a good course for other folks on the acquisition team, program managers and the like, to sign up for. What do you think about that? Or what's our target audience for this particular one?
I'm glad you asked, because this introductory doesn't get down into the weeds of how you specifically execute these things. It's more of at a top level of a survey, you will, of the various types of incentives available. And I absolutely encourage program managers, logisticians, engineers, anybody that's going to be involved from a technical perspective, because these incentive contracts tend to be team efforts where the entire program team needs to work on developing these incentives and how to measure them, how to evaluate them, and how to negotiate them. So they really need to be supporting the contracting officer, and if there's a pricer involved, that price analyst. So they are armed with really, really good information to negotiate these contracts, set them up, make sure that the right things are being incentivized, and then during execution of the contract, making sure that all the monitoring is taking place properly. So it's a team effort, and I would recommend that anybody that's going to be a part of that team, that may be part of a team, take this class. It will help them quite a bit.
Great, Dave. I think that for our listeners, if you're listening to this recording, encourage your teammates to take the course, sign up for and take 7600 along with your contracting peers. Also, folks, as Dave has mentioned here, people on your acquisition team, this would be a really good course for them to take just for some good information on incentive contracting. So thanks for those comments, Dave.
Yeah, and one other thing, this is relatively short course, very short course actually. It's only going to take you about an hour. There is a quiz at the end of it, but it's not a difficult quiz. We just want to make sure that you got the main points. So this is a no harm, no foul. Within an hour, you're going to have a good idea of the various types of incentives that are available for use, and in what types of situations you might want to use a particular type of incentive. So, it's there for the taking. I highly recommend it.
Great, Dave. So I do have a couple questions. One is the embedded videos. I've heard great things about these videos, and also about the credential itself, and when does it expire, and what's the plan? Is there any plan on how to renew it?
Okay, well, as far as this particular course, the intro course, we do not have any embedded videos specifically for this particular course. We have it for later courses, and we have it for the overall credential that you mentioned. The way the credential is set up, it's CCON 006, and it's the incentive credential. This is the first course underneath that credential. There are also some videos that were shot that aren't embedded into the particular courses, but just overall for the credential. And that's going to be, for the most part, senior leaders talking about the criticality of using incentive contracts, how they benefit DoD, and the situations in which you should be using them. But when you get into the individual courses, like I was talking about with the FPIF, the CPIF, and the multiple incentive and award fee, yes, we have embedded videos with those that are extremely powerful. In some cases, we have people that are in the field, the expert practitioners in the field that are doing the work. They're explaining to you how they set these up, the kind of planning, all of the work involved that it took, and they're still out there executing these contracts, and they're working really, really well. So, yeah, we have videos in quite a few of these courses, but not for 7600.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying that. That's confusion on my part. So is there anything else before we go that you want to add?
I would just say that for anybody that's contemplating getting involved in incentive contracts, I strongly encourage you to take these courses. It's not going to take a lot of time to get through them, but it's going to arm you with a lot of good knowledge on these contracts. And when you get into the details on the CPIF, the FPIF, and the multiple, we're also going to give you some clues on how to negotiate those things as well. So very powerful stuff here. And with this intro, it'll give you a good lay of the land on what incentives look like for DoD.
All right, great. Thanks for coming on the show, Dave.
Glad to be here.
Hey, it's always great to have you. We're looking forward to future discussions with you on your other assets. Thank you for coming on here for Con 7600, Introduction to Incentive Contracting. For all those out there, thank you for listening to this podcast. We really ask, if you could, to subscribe. And we have several ways you can do that. You can do it on DAU Media, or you can go to YouTube, or you can go to Apple Podcasts. So please do that. You'll get an opportunity to be notified when our next podcast is out. And please let your friends, your coworkers, those of you supervise, let them know about this podcast so we can educate them on our different assets at DAU. So thank you for coming, and we look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.